So we'll be running through Power BI and how to automate your data lineage. I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of you I see in here. There are some new faces, but I'm Chase Summers. I'm the Director of Customer Operations here at Dataedo. Alongside me today is Dominique, our metadata engineer, who spent a lot of time working closely on creating this Power BI connector, along with a lot of other advancements within Dataedo. We also have Richard Monk, who is our customer success manager, who a lot of you have had the pleasure of meeting. If you haven't and you're a customer, you definitely need to. And from here, we'll roll into the agenda. So before we get into the agenda, please, throughout the webinar, drop your questions in the questions tab. So if you have them, we'll answer them all at the end. But chat, you can make comments, anything you need there. And then questions in the questions tab will just help us keep them all together as we go through here. Now, to kick things off, we'll go through common Power BI challenges. So what people are typically facing with Power BI, and then we'll head into what you can do to address those, even Dataedo aside. Some useful strategies will be covered, and then how Dataedo can help. So where Dataedo fits into, working with those Power BI challenges. At the end, we will, as I mentioned, do the Q&A. And from here, I'll hand it off to Dominic to share all about with you guys.
Thank you, Trace. Okay, so let's kick this off from common Power BI challenges. So a lot of you probably work closely with Power BI. So I want to split this section into two pieces, right? So because very often Power BI users basically split into two parts. So for one hand, you have your managers, decision makers, stakeholders that actually use these reports, consume this content, and make decisions based on that. And these people, their probably main concern is, can I trust this data? And in bigger organizations, when you have thousands of reports, thousands of data sets, it's really hard to keep track of everything. So there are lots of redundant data sets, redundant reports, duplicated metrics, even conflicting metrics. So you have two reports that should represent pretty much the same information, but for some reason display different values, right? So all of these don't help in trusting your data. That is actually crucial when you want to be data-driven company, when you want to make this decision educated based on your data. So that's an issue on one side. So actually trusting your Power BI reports. And on the other hand, you have Power BI developers, BI developers, data analysts, all of these people who actually build reports and bring to managers all of these assets. So very often when it comes to a bug in a report, they need to fix it. So they need to actually trace the bug. And in bigger organizations, the data lineage from the actual source to the report is very big. So it can be a bunch of different tables, bunch of different views, some OLAP cubes in between, and then data sets in Power BI, and then reports. So it can get quite complicated. So when you want to debug this report, it's not an easy task without proper documentation, without properly documented data lineage to actually handle that. So these are the issues. At the end, it very often comes to this situation. So when you are a BI developer, it actually can end up like on this Reddit post. So we want to fix that, right? We want to address this problem. So how we can do that? How we can make sure our decision makers will trust our data in Power BI, and how we can make sure that our whole Power BI department won't retire at their 30s, right? So we can document. So there's nothing in particular cool, fun, or sexy in documenting your data assets, but it's I will ensure you that if you have your data assets properly documented, it seems like a superpower. It is so much. It gives so much value to your data team if they work with data assets that are properly documented. So it can make all of that, a lot of processes much easier. So probably a great solution to document your asset. When I say document, I mean importing, so pulling your metadata, so data about data, so data about your reports, data about your data sets when we are talking about Power BI, also lineage information from Power BI. So what data comes from to the given report, right? All of this information, so pulling that from Power BI, and in the best case scenario, assigning some descriptions, assigning some titles to that. So actually describing what is this report for, what is this data set for, etc., etc. It can also be on a more extended level. So we can also assign some business terms to that. So we call it business glossary. You can create a business glossary with terms that are related to your organization. And then for each asset, assign different terms to that. And when I'm saying that, it seems like a lot of work. And I'm not saying it isn't, especially when we're talking about documenting, assigning these descriptions, assigning these titles, because when it comes to lineage, the big part of it can be done automatically, especially within Power BI, and we'll talk about this later on. But when it comes to descriptions and titles, yeah, I can understand that it's a lot of work when you want to document all of your 2000 reports and all of your 2000 data sets, for example. But in our companies that we often work with, approach it with small steps, right? So you don't sit down and document 2000 reports. You start with these that are most commonly used. You start with these that are people most commonly asked for. We start small. We start maybe with an hour a day of hour a week documenting, and in the long term, it gives so much value and help. For example, new employees start working with data much efficiently, much faster. Okay, so we know that it's a great solution to all of these issues that I pointed out at the beginning. So documenting, but what can we document when we are talking about Power BI? So there are a couple of types of objects that you can actually pull from Power BI, so data sets, reports, and visualizations within them. The same goes with dashboards, measures, and at last but not at least, data lineage. So data lineage is the big one because it gives you the value from day one, right? So you can extract this information. You can extract, for example, information about all of the data sets that sits within your Power BI instance, but you will need to document them somehow, as I said. So for example, sit down for an hour, a day, a week, and describe them, give some context, assign some business glossary terms to actually have a bigger value from that. But in data lineage, and especially automated data lineage that we can get from Power BI, the great thing is that from day one, you document it, you sit down, for example, to Dataedo and connect to your source, extract this lineage, or build your own solution with code. You extract this lineage, you represent it on some graph, and you can share it with your colleagues, and it gives them value from day one because they now know exactly from what tables, by what tables this report is powered by, and they can debug their reports easily and trust the data more because they now are sure that this report doesn't use data, for example, from some deprecated table, right? So this is what we can import from Power BI, but how we can do it. So there is an official REST API provided by Microsoft for Power BI, and this is what we use while creating our Power BI connector in Dataedo. So you will find there a lot of interesting information about your Power BI instance that will be helpful in creating such a solution by your own, because you obviously can create something like this by your own. So document all of your data asset and create it by hand. It will be easy at the beginning, because you will just start working with this API and see that, okay, so now I can get a list of data sets, now I can get a list of reports. So you will end up having a lot of these things pulled from Power BI very quickly. But the last 20%, so probably building data lineage will be much harder, and you will see in a minute why. So here is the example of one of the endpoints that would be useful if you decide to extracting metadata and documenting Power BI without using ready solution like Dataedo, like some other data catalog. You, for example, can get all of the reports, all of the data sets that sits in with your Power BI just using single endpoint, right? And then on the other endpoint, you have all of the data sources that are connected to a single data set. So I want to know if this data set takes data from SQL Server or Azure SQL, and where is this database, and I want to know its details. But here's the tricky part, right? So you can already see that there are some problems if you're starting building this out, because when the source is Azure Blobs, for example, the connection details looks like that. So there is some account and domain, but when other data set is fueled by analysis service, data from analysis service, the connection details look a little bit different. So you want to treat all of these different situations in lineage and all of these different flows a little bit different, and make sure you tested this out and make sure you parse that information properly. So this is the hard part while building data catalog that extracts lineage information from another metadata from API from other services. But you definitely can do it using this API. And now I will show you how we did that in Dataedo. So I will show you our ready connector for Power BI, and I will show you how we got this information and how we parse that into Dataedo UI. So how it looks like in Power BI, and how it looks like in Dataedo. So this will be it. I don't know, some of you probably use Dataedo, some of you didn't. So I will just start with a few words about our architecture, so you will know what's happening. So we have basically two applications. One is the desktop app and the other is web catalog. The desktop app is used to build your documentation from the ground. So connect to your data sources and run profiling, do some more advanced, more configuration-like things. So in a desktop app, you connect to your data source. In our case, for this webinar, is Power BI, but it can be one of other connectors that we support, so SQL Server, Snowflake, Postgres, etc. And then you have web, and this desktop catalog saves data into metadata repository. This is SQL Server data database. We take your data from Power BI and save them into metadata repository that is SQL Server. You can then query this database. You have full access to that. This whole solution is on-premise, so you have whole access to everything. And there is also web catalog that is a web-based application. Is also on-premise, and it connects to your metadata repository and lets you browse. It's more business-oriented, less configuration, less technical. It's more for viewing your metadata, browsing, letting your data community actually see what is going on in your data assets. Okay, so now we are going to go to live demo. It hopefully won't be me in the next couple of minutes. So I will start with showing you Dataedo. Yes, you should be able to see Dataedo right now. So I'm in a Dataedo web right now in a home screen. And then I will go to report catalog. You can see that we support a couple of BI technologies, so SSRS, Tableau, and Power BI. I will go to Power BI. And on the left, you can see two folders, two directories of objects that we currently import, right? So datasets and reports. When I click on datasets, you can see that there is a list of all of the datasets within my workspace. Because in Dataedo, you connect to your workspace. So one position on the list, like in a report catalog, like reports Power BI, is one workspace. So I have a couple of different data sets within that workspace. I can assign a title to each of these reports. I can also link some business glossary terms. That is what I was talking about. So this is the business glossary you can create, represent some terms that are strictly related to your organization, right? And you can also describe this report here, this data set, sorry, here. And when I click on it, and when I go to columns, so in Power BI, each data set can contain multiple tables, right? So the way I will represent that is using this nested structure. So every position here is a separate table. And you can see this here's a type, and each table has type table. So when I, for example, click on date, I can see different columns within this date table. And when I now go to Power BI, and I'm in this customer profitability sample PBIX dataset, you can see that here are the tables I can also see in Dataedo. And when I click on date, here are the columns. So this is how we represent this exact data set that you see in Power BI in a Dataedo on a documentation level, right? So when we go to reports, this is pretty similar. You can assign a title, description, business glossary, owner, a bunch of different metadata to your report. And when I click on it, I can see a preview of it. It's completely secure. It works like you need to sign in with Microsoft in order to view this report. So if the user who is browsing documentation, data documentation, have access to this report, he will end up seeing that. If not, then not. So I can see this report actually embed here. So view this from the documentation. We also store URL to this report, so you can go there directly from here. And when I will show you also this report on Power BI. So when I go to visualization and fields, there are 4 pages, so each with type page. And when I go here, you can also see 4 pages like here. And we also use this nested structure to represent fields and visualizations within a single page. So when I click on, for example, team scorecard, you can see that there are a bunch of different text boxes, bunch of different charts with all types specified here. And this represents exactly this report. So this is how we actually take these reports, and we need to represent them somehow on a documentation level on this hierarchical structure, right? So this is how it looks like. This is how we do it. And thanks to that, you can assign title, assign description on the different levels, like assign title and description to a whole report, or assign title and description to a specific field that is used within a report, right? So this is how imported objects looks like in Dataedo. And now we can go to data lineage. Okay, so now you can see that there is object level lineage visible from the data warehouse. So whiteboard import is data warehouse, couple of tables here, through the data set that sits within Power BI, and to actual report that uses this information. And we also support column level lineage here. So when I click on it, you can also see that, for example, this column moves into other two columns within this report, right? So this is how it looks like here on a documentation level when it comes to data lineage. And as I said, this is what you get when you just proceed with an import of Power BI within Dataedo. So you don't need to fill in these descriptions right here, at least from day one, but you get data lineage diagram that already give so much value to your data community. This is the state of Power BI connector lineage for now. So when I'm talking, we have launched, the last stable release of Dataedo is 23.1.1, and there is no difference between Power BI Pro or Premium Workspace for us from the metadata perspective, extraction perspective. So it doesn't matter if you have Pro or Premium. We will import data lineage on an object level for data sets that are live connection, and for regular extract data sets, we will show column level lineage and object level lineage as well, obviously. These sources were tested because, as I showed you, the response from the API varies between different technologies, and we need to test and verify and parse every single response and every single source treat a little bit differently. So these are sources that we tested and know that they're working with Power BI extraction and provide you with this type of lineage. So the last thing I wanted to show you is actually how the process of importing work and how it looks like in Data Desktop. So this is the place when you connect to your sources and proceed with an import. So I click on Add Container, New Connection, search for Power BI. Here's the legacy connector. So it just covered data sets, but we have this new one for reports and data sets. And then you can just sign in interactively with your Microsoft account, provide what workspace you want to document, and proceed with an import. And you will end up seeing the similar scope of documentation I showed you here. I think that we can move on to plots. Chase, do you wanna?
Beautiful. And so for plans, we'll cover a few things. We'll take it from the customer side, but it will also cover the new business side because I know there are a lot of new faces here. We can go on to the licensing. Thanks, Dominic. So first here, if you're interested in utilizing the report catalog, you either need to be on the current Dato subscription or the most recent data catalog subscription, which is legacy. All other legacy, whether that's enterprise, pro, etc., don't have access to this. We are in the position to where we want to help customers get the most out of Dataedo as a whole. So if it gets to a point where you would like to utilize the report catalog, you're not on the latest plan, we are happy, especially for customers, to cut discounts to make sure that we can get you where you want to be from a reasonable point. We always try to honor those legacy customers. So feel free to reach out to us. We have the live chat on our website, but I'll give you some direct contact information here in just a moment. For new customers, so Patrick@Dataedo.com will be your best contact to set up a demo, run through the tool, view the product, cover other features that we offer in addition to the report catalog, and even other Power BI functionalities. For returning customers, so if you do have those subscriptions that offer report catalogs, so the latest subscriptions, you can access those by upgrading to 23.1.1. Or if you are a legacy user, you can contact Jonathan@Dataedo.com and he'll discuss those custom pricing and even show you other things you might be missing out on.
Okay, we also launched a Slack community for our customers and not only them. So if you feel like it's a great place for you, I encourage you to join there. So here's the link, invite link. I try to share there together with Richard best practices, some tips of how to use Dataedo, how to better document your assets and enhance it. So please join if you feel so. And I think that we can move on to Q&A section.
Perfect. So guys, feel free to continue throwing in the questions. That's all. Daniel asked, does the Power BI data set have to be in the public workspace with MSFT, or can it be stored in a secure on-prem cloud server?
Yeah, I feel it probably has to be in public workspace, because in other case, the API won't return it. So I think that the answer is it has to be in a workspace. Would need to double check on that to be exactly sure. So,
okay, perfect. Zachary asked, is Snowflake on the roadmap for supporting with lineage?
Yeah, it wasn't there, but I think yeah, it wasn't there. I believe it was tested. Yeah, so I believe it was, because as here is stated, these are the thing that some technology is not there. It doesn't mean it's not supported. It means it wasn't tested yet by us. But I think that Snowflake is supported for Power BI lineage.
Okay, and Zachary, if you want to test that out, we can give you either a trial license if you're not on the latest version. I see a few others typing. So Cal said also in Snowflake and having trouble seeing object level lineage unless he's going crazy.
Yeah, but you're referring between Power BI and Snowflake, or lineage between what objects? Or
yeah, Cal, could you share just a little more on that, please? When I go to data lineage for a Power BI report in Dataedo, the furthest left node is the data set and not the Snowflake objects.
Okay, so you can get this reference between this data lineage between data sets and your assets within Snowflake. Okay. Tough to say. I feel it should be possible. I would need to just double check on that if it's not implemented or not tested yet, or if it's some bug like specific to you. So we'll come back.
Perfect. Seer Barbara said, we use AD groups to secure some of the access to Power BI workspaces, dashboards, reports. Since the membership is dynamic or reloaded nightly via SQL process, if we use the web catalog, how would that properly restrict the users to that info? And Richard, you may be best to give a little feedback there.
I can answer that. Barbara, when you go into the web catalog, if you are an admin, you have the ability to go up there, the upper right-hand corner to user management. You can associate your Active Directory groups with a group that you will create there or import there in web catalog. And then you go down to the bottom of the page and roles, hit roles, add role. You can there define exactly what that group will have access to. So you can tell them, we want you to have access to reports and have this level of access, these particular permissions. So you'll do it in user management. Feel free to reach out to me if you need more information.
Thanks, Richard. Zachary also came back and said, if the Power BI data set is using custom SQL versus just a straight table import, does the field level lineage or table level lineage of the table and fields referenced in this custom SQL still work?
Yeah, so I believe that, I don't know if, because the answer is probably not yet. So we are working on our SQL parser. It is used in different places. We want to develop Power BI connector more and use our parser also there. So it will be probably possible in a future releases, but it isn't now.
Okay, thanks, Dominic. I see others typing, so we'll give it a few more moments. Do you have a rough timeline for that feature, so the SQL parser?
I don't think that there is especially timeline in using it there, but doesn't mean it won't happen because the parser is developed a little bit like separately. So we just developing parser over and over and then using this in different connectors. So hard to tell.
Cool. A few other feedback. So notice sometimes the Power BI lineage is not represented all the way down to the data sources. Are there specific requirements, i.e. the fields need to be named in a certain way? Or what about a data mart? So I do not see data mart lineage on any of the data mart projects.
Yeah, so basically the way how we get this reference to your data warehouse or between database and data sets is like the name should be similar. It doesn't need to be exact the same, but we have some different rules that needs to be met to actually make this lineage. But because Power BI doesn't provide us with the lineage information, with the exact lineage information, we need to do some tricks. So if the name is completely different, that won't work.
What about data mart? Any plans?
I don't think that is on a
Not that I'm aware of. Cool. And Dominic, I guess we'll go ahead to that last page there as others may continue asking questions as we're wrapping up here. So I mentioned a few people who are great resources, Richard being one of them, who you can always reach out to outside of that. So if there are immediate, urgent support needs, you can always reach out to support@dateedo.com. I see Dominic's going to throw in our Slack channel here in chat. And then also on our website, you can tackle the new product tour, which we just released. So many of you have done the trial on our website, but we now have a product tour. So this is great for new customers, legacy users to go in and be able to explore Dataedo from an opportunity to see the different features, be taught through the features and see all the benefits there. Yeah, Laura, we love Dominic's picture of this cat. It's always great. And so if you haven't already, feel free to check out our website, check out that product tour and see what it has to offer. And I don't see any other questions. So I guess we will go ahead and conclude here. Richard, Dominic, thanks so much for leading us through here and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you all.
Thanks, bye.
Yep.